And that's the second time I got crabs.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense now. Now, did you crack them with the... Oh. Welcome to the Game Club. This is actually, again, this is our second, two-person Game Club in a row.
I'm excited. This is
welcome
two-person
back.
Game Club. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. It's good to be back. You guys had a monster run of Game Club games while I was gone. All games that I really wanted to come up so we could play. Undertale, Dust and Elysian Tale, and I missed all of them. So really happy I was back in time to at least play FEZ, which is the Game Club game that we're going to talk about
Now,
right
had
now.
you played it before this?
I had not.
Okay.
FEZ is one of those games that I meant to play, and then the whole thing with Phil Fish sort of going off the deep end and shouting at everybody happened, and I decided not to play it because he sounded like a pretentious dickbag and it probably wasn't a good game anyway. Turns out it's actually a really great game, and I like it a lot.
But and that didn't spoil it for you that there was an Well, at this point, he's so divorced from the game in terms of... I mean, he's said he's done with it, so it's real easy to just go, all right, well, this is a game, and whoever made it. But hey, it's a platformer, so I can understand why Gus wasn't that interested. I got to be honest, I can recognize that this was an amazing game, and it still just didn't really capture my attention.
Oh yeah, what was it lacking? Do you feel?
It's hard for me to put my finger on. It felt it gave me some very strong nostalgia from just the old school platformer type things. Sort of like a la Super Mario Brothers, but it had such a cool twist of the rotating environment and all the in-depth kind of puzzle type stuff. But for some reason, it just didn't really capture me. I don't know, and I think it's not the game's fault. I think there's still too many games that I'm trying to play that I would rather be playing that make it a very difficult environment for another game to enter right now.
What other games are you trying to play right now?
I'm still trying to finish Tomb Raider, Fallout 4. I've gotten all the way through to the end, but haven't finished the epilogue of StarCraft 2. So amidst all that stuff, just a very simple, a smart, but gameplay-wise kind of simple platformer just wasn't holding my attention.
So you don't feel like it's bad, it just doesn't quite stack up to some of the AAAs that you're trying to get through.
It wasn't scratching the itch that I have right now.
Gotcha.
I can see it scratching the itch that I'll have in the future, though.
Yeah, for me, I went into it, I wasn't 100% sure what it was. I'd seen some footage of the game before, but when you play something as opposed to when you see it, that, it really changes the way you feel about it, or the way you perceive it, I guess. I knew that you rotated for perspective, and I was like, oh, it's like Ilo Milo. Mm-hmm. It's easy. It's just like that. Job done. Don't need to play it. But I actually really, really liked the forced perspective and the way you could navigate levels and shortcut things just by changing the way you saw the level. From a programming standpoint alone, really impressive. I kept finding myself switching something and then being like, man, the programmer deserves some serious credit here because they had to get it. They had to have some crazy object physics going on in there, right?
It's funny because as I played the game, just the quote from Star Trek 2 kept playing over and over in my head.
What's that?
Evidence of two-dimensional thinking. Because that's what it feels like. It's like you gotta think in that third dimension. Things. And again, I as much as it didn't capture my attention, I recognize what an achievement the game was. Because exactly what you're talking about. Things like having vines on different parts of a building, but when you rotate it so that it appears in 2D, it becomes a contiguous line, so you can climb up that way.
Yeah, for those who have not played the game themselves, the way this game works is you're a two-dimensional object, but you're sort of working in a three-dimensional space. So you can rotate 4 different directions for 4 different perspectives. Everything is very cube-based or square, so you can rotate it around. And the way you actually navigate the levels is based on what you're actually looking at. So like we were saying with the vines, let's say there are some vines over here, and there's another level of vines up the next way over if you rotate it around so they line up and from the side look like they go together, then they go together, and you can navigate them.
It's almost like he took the idea of a Rubik's Cube and made it a video game. Something about just reorienting things to line up puzzles is how it felt to me. And it had a cute little kind of sense of humor to it. I love the little Tesseract guy that follows you around. that's it was a good game for Eli to sit in my lap and play because he kept going, get more snap cubes, and I have no idea what a snap cube is, but he just more snap cubes, Daddy.
Snap cubes. Snap cubes.
It's a thing. It's got to be something.
Are those cubits? Are those anti-cubes?
The yellow ones, the regular cubes.
The little tiny ones.
The smaller ones. Well, he didn't care. Anything that was a square to him was a snap cube, and he wanted me to get them all.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's technologically the design of the game is just pretty spot on. I mean, as games go.
Yeah, I feel like the art direction is really awesome. The sound design is great. Like the soundtrack, everything. I didn't have any real glitches to speak of. It worked flawlessly. I mean, really, like, this game is an achievement. There's not a lot of games that can say that. To be fair, it has been out for a while, and I don't know if it's been patched, a couple of times to fix some of those issues. But what I played was flawless, which, again, for today's games, I have to really appreciate.
That's a big goal. And you went up to what? What was your final completion?
I finished 209%, which I didn't even know was a thing until I finished the game the first time, and I was like at 100 and some odd percent. Because the goal of the game is to collect 32 cubes. Right?
Full cubes, which typically you're collecting eighth of a cube, right?
Yeah, so you're mostly collecting these qubits. Yeah, and I think it's 8 or 9. Yeah, you're right, it's 8. And 8 of them make a full cube, and so then you want to try and collect 32 full cubes. Sometimes you find a full cube, but that's few and far between. But then there are also these things called anti-cubes, which is you get for solving hidden puzzles, right? And so I got a couple of those, and I got the full complement of, not the full complement, but I got a whole bunch of cubes. So I had more than 32 total cubes to finish the game. But once you finish the game, then you have a New Game Plus. And the New Game Plus, you start out with all the cubes and qubits and everything that you had, but then you also get access to first-person view mode. And that lets you get a whole bunch more of the hidden ones in particular, because there'll be codes or something hidden on the ground or on a wall that you can't really see unless you have that perspective, because it's hidden from you otherwise, just the way the game is designed. So it's almost like it's designed so you can't complete the game in one go. You have to finish it, and then you can complete it.
And the anti-cubes don't do anything, really, right? They're just a challenge to get.
Yeah, they're just an additional collectible. So you get like, there's a Steam achievement for getting all of everything, but you don't need them. All you need is 32 total in order to complete the game.
It seems like at least from the parts as far as I played, which was, I think I was 50, 60% complete. It seemed like the regular qubits were very physical, like platforming-based challenging, and the anti-cubes were more of a mental-based challenge. Like the couple I ran into, there was like the one where you have to do some astronomy, sort of, to get it, and then the one that was just a QR code, which I thought was kind of cool, where I had to I was like, do I still have an app on my phone that'll do QR codes? And that took me a minute to look it up.
I had to download one.
It turns out, yeah, I did too, but because Google Goggles does it, but I thought I had it and I didn't.
Google Goggles?
Google Goggles, yeah.
Oh, is that just like a native Android app?
You might even be able to get it on Apple. I don't know, but it does a lot of things like QR codes. It'll you can like hold it up and take a picture of a painting, and it will tell you all about the painting.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It just scans whatever you take a picture of and tries to give you results on it.
I think that's what Microsoft Surface, like the original Surface tablets, like, the old, like the big tables. I think that's what they initially wanted to do.
Yeah.
They're like, you can put a cup down and it will tell you what's in it. Yeah, that never happened.
That's the future, all right? It's still coming, okay?
It turns out, though, that, like, I was curious about that QR code one, because what do you do? Can you not complete the game if you don't have a QR code reader? And it turns out there's another room with another owl, I think it is, that's somewhere else in the world that has, like, a manual version of that if you don't have a QR reader. So you can complete the game, but you're right. There's a bunch of different puzzles, I think, for the anti-cubes, whether it's lining stuff up to make a specific shape, or playing music, or doing a whole bunch of different things that are all much more puzzle-based as opposed to physical-based.
Right. It's the mental challenge to the physical challenge of the regular qubits.
Yeah, so overall, I liked the game. I actually spent way more time playing it than it says anyone needs to. I think I have, like... I've decided that how long to beat I need to take How Long to Beat FEZ. How long to beat is not an accurate indicator of how long a game takes for me. I must play games hella slow. So according to this, completionists might take 11 to 12 hours. What's my playtime in FEZ? Let's look at this. Let's look up FEZ. My playtime is 14 hours. So,
and you're at 209. What is 100%? Really 100% complete? Is it like 300%?
No, 209%. I got all of the collectibles. So there are four different artifacts. There are 9 treasure maps that, because they're, the hidden, the total invisible blocks. Did you encounter those?
Yeah.
Not the ones that are invisible except for the lightning, but ones that are completely invisible.
No, maybe I didn't see those.
Yeah, there's a couple of platforms, and this is where, if you ever see those treasure chests that are just too far away to even begin to get, you have no idea what to do, there's an invisible platform somewhere.
Oh.
So you have to find a treasure map, and it won't tell you what level it's for. You just have to figure out what that looks like. And then you can do, it's like there'll be one here, one above it, and then one to the right. And then you just have to take it on faith that those work, jump out, and then you find them.
Totally Indiana Jones it. Got it.
Yeah, but as far as you can see, you're staring, you're just standing in the air. That's it. All there is to it.
Well, they play around with a lot of that idea, the invisible except for.
Yeah, but this is just invisible.
Just good luck.
Totally.
Leap of faith it. Well, and there's that's another good thing about the game is there's really no penalty for missing. If you fall down and go boom, then you just spawn back on the platform you jumped off of. So. Yeah,
and which I like. I like that the game doesn't penalize you for trying or for taking that leap just to see. The only thing that really aggravated me about the game, and this was the part that was made intentionally to be really, really angrifying, is did you go into the sewers at all?
I don't know. There's so many different places I went. I was in air castles, I was in jungles. I was in some things that looked brick. They could be considered sewers.
Was it greenish?
Maybe not.
Really,
Maybe I didn't.
It was actually cool. It reminded me it was like a straight up shout out to homage to Mario, where you go to the top of, you go through a windmill thing, and there's this industrial area. You get to the top, and there's these green. It's like a green brick pipe, and you just sink down into it, and then you end up in the sewer, and it's this whole area. You go through that, and there's then this red sulfuric sewer area. I don't know. And it's got one of those, those time puzzles where you have to go through and you have to platform a thing perfectly because there's lava coming at you.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Oh, okay.
And it was mostly totally fine, except there's this one part where, those rotating platforms, there are these platforms in the game that will rotate clockwise every so often. And you can change perspective, so they appear one of two ways. One, either if you're looking at them from the side, it's a cube, and then it becomes a tall cube, and you have to jump up, and then you can be on the tall part. If you look at it from the other perspective, it's a wide box, and then it rotates clockwise and becomes a tall box. And depending on which way you look at it, that impacts how you move when it rotates. Because if you are looking at it from the wide part, then when it rotates, it tends to chuck you off to the side as you're jumping up. And when you're doing that with a whole bunch of lava coming at you, and you have to navigate 6 of those perfectly, it's fucking awful. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I will say that if there's anything I didn't like about the game in terms of its movement ability is that the jumping didn't feel as tight as Super Mario Brothers.
It was definitely more forgiving, I think, than a lot of platformers because I could do it.
Well, I don't know. It felt like you didn't have as much. Wow, that's your classification. It's I could play it, so.
Yeah, look, I'm not good at platformers. This is something that I've been playing platformers for 25 years now. I mean, Mario was my first game. I've never got good at them.
There's really, it feels like there's 2 or 3 different main classifications of how platform jumping goes. There's the type of platformer jumper where you have very good in-air control. There's a type of platformer jumper where you just have very good control over the how high your initial jump is, and there's a type of platformer where you have a secondary, third modified jump, like a double jump or a jetpack. And this one really falls into that. You just can control how hard you jump. The in-air control did not feel good to me. Not you mean like you couldn't really reverse direction if you needed to and pull back. If you're pretty much committed to jumping as far as you said you were going to jump, you can pull it back just a little, but not as much as a Super Mario Brothers.
I'd agree with that. But for me, it was I just appreciated that I'm not good at that final pixel. You know, when you have to get to the very, very edge of the ledge to the point where you're going to fall off if you go one pixel over, and then you jump. I'm not great at that. I have almost predictive button pressing where it's like I get close and I'm like, yep, good, and then I jump off and then I don't make the other edge. So I liked that it was more forgiving like that. But the fact that he would sometimes grab onto things and then take for fucking ever to pull himself up, especially if you're on like a timing puzzle or something like that, really aggravating. But that's that's fine. That's me.
Yeah.
There was something else that I want to talk about this game, and I'm gonna remember what it is in 3, 2, 1.
That's more seconds.
Having a hard time.
They're still going.
Let's see. The world design, really good. Lots of different areas. Enjoyed that a whole bunch. I just really liked the game. Did you know if you beat it a second time, you can unlock a 3D, like a stereoscopic mode?
How do you beat it a second time? You said you got
No, So you get the 32 cubes, and that's how you beat it the first time. If you get all 64, then it will unlock a stereoscopic mode, so you can like play with 3D glasses.
Interesting. Well, I mean, can you actually look around, or is it...
I don't have 3D glasses, Ryan. I don't know. I'm just telling you things that you can do.
Oh, all right. Well,
that are really cool.
Yeah, I'll look it up.
But there's another thing, too. I haven't tried this because I personally don't give a shit. I'm not going to go to all of this effort. But there are people decompiling the game's code because Phil Fish hid another puzzle in, like, the game itself.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't get it.
For funsies?
The dude really loves the puzzles. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to talk about, is the fact that this is the first game in probably years where I felt like I need a notebook to take down notes while I play it. Because the dude invented an alphabet and a new number system. It's a base 4 numbering system, first of all. Well, sort of. It's like this series of glyphs. It's all cube-based, or square-based, which, box-based. It's a box-based lettering system. And so there are all these hints all hidden throughout the game, right? Which will tell you...
hint stones, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm a sucker. I looked up what the alphabet was. There is one place in the game where you can find out what all the letters mean without going to the internet and looking that shit up.
Like
you know
a
what
Rosetta
it is?
Stone? Or?
Yeah. It's the room is informally known as the Rosetta Stone room because you go in and it's this big purple monolith with a whole bunch of those shapes on it. You know what the only hint is that it means something specific? There is a lazy dog laying on the ground, and there is a quick brown fox jumping over it. Are you familiar with the phrase, the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog?
That's what they use for fonts, because it has every letter in the alphabet.
Every letter. That's the only indication that means something.
Wow.
And you're supposed to use it, but it gets even harder, because guess what the lettering system does? It goes top to bottom, right to left.
Sure, why wouldn't it?
So that's how you find out what that is. And there's elsewhere in the game, there's classrooms that'll teach you the numbering system in a similarly super vague way. I'm so glad I didn't mess with that. My 14 hours or whatever would be like 1 billion hours if I had tried to do that myself. I would never have found it.
I mean, my hat's off to the game. It is very puzzle intensive. It's very, very good at what it is. I wish that it resonated more with me at the time. I'm going to revisit it at some point and see if it draws me back in once I get past all this other nonsense I'm playing.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it more than I expected. I would take a sequel if you ever felt like making one, but I also feel like the game stands perfectly well on its own. We don't need one.
Yeah, I mean that's a perfectly valid statement. Like we always kind of expect it's like if something's successful that it just has to have one, but there's nothing wrong with making one good and leaving. The Matrix should have stopped at 1.
It didn't?
Yes, if that's the world you're living in, yes, it stopped at 1.
That was a great movie.
That was a great movie.
I would take some sequels if they decided to do some Matrix sequels.
Maybe J.J. Abrams will get around to that someday.
He does good work, too.
Yeah.
All right, should we find out what our next game is?
Let's do it.
Oh, so look. This is going to work out great.
The wheel.
Let's do this together. Okay, I'm going to put it right here.
Okay.
And we're going to go...
I feel like we're missing an opportunity here. We just kind of like...
All right.
There you go.
find out we're playing. Ah! This is my suggestion. We're playing Guacamelee.
Guacamelee.
Love this
I
game.
think I
Have
may
you played
have
this?
that. I have never played it. I saw Ray play it back when
Okay.
it was first coming out.
So, for those who are not familiar with the game, it's another side-scrolling puzzle platformer. So we're staying in theme here.
Kind of combat though, as well.
Yes, it's got combat as well, and it's like luchador themed.
Right.
And everything's really cartoonish and crazy colored, and it's also a really great couch co-op game. You can have two players. You can just like one person like drop in, drop out, and one person plays. Her name is Tostada.
Tostada.
Yes.
She's a spicy tamale.
No, she's a tostada. Come on.
Oh, she's actually a tostada.
No, she's like a dead lady. I don't know. It's a great game though.
She doesn't sound that hot anymore if she's dead. She sounds
She's-
room temperature.
Look, she makes the bandages look good.
Huh? All right.
But yeah,
try it.
the first thing that happens in this game, spoiler, is you die.
You
That
know,
was supposed to be a lot more cool.
some of the best games start that way.
Yeah, so it's. I can catch this.
There
I
we
can
go.
do it. So that's what we'll play. We'll talk about next week.
All right. Thanks for
All
joining
right.
us.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
You give me the Xbox because I gave you a fucking job. Also, I wouldn't take it. I would have been like, oh, cool, Office Xbox. We put it on display.
Which is what we should do,
Or put it
absolutely,
on
yeah.
Jack's desk. I don't give a shit. But
No
not
one
like,
can have it.